Mr. Slattery, and this will be my third video coming up. And if you haven't seen the others, it would be nice if you start at 1 and then go to 2, and then we're at 3 now. You can binge me like Netflix, and because I know you're missing those 2 hours a day that you're spending with me. And so you, instead of doing Netflix, and you can binge Mr. Slattery talking for hours on end. But anyways, I'm gonna start the third series, and before I do that, I try to do some what I call real talk, like I did last time. I'm hearing from a lot of people that this pandemic, or wherever we're going through, is destroying education. But I want you to look at it this way. What we're going through now is a very teachable moment, and it brings me back to this great novel that we read at the beginning of the school year, called Out of the Dust, when the world was in a kind of very similar situation. And we talked about how she responded to her environment and how she became stronger. These are lessons that you cannot learn in a classroom. You can use this time to learn, educate yourself, get on the internet and read the news. I know it's boring, but it actually affects you. Know the science behind the virus. Know what to do and not do. The internet is your tool. Educate yourself. Experience this. Use this experience to become stronger, smarter, adapt. That's what learning is. Learning is not just in a classroom. Learning is life. So I want you to think about that. Thank you. Okay, we're going to finish up this series on race. Now, like I said before, most teachers, pretty much every teacher besides me, will teach race as RAACE. Those come to me. I add 2 more parts to it that aligns with LearnZillion and the way that we're teaching LearnZillion. And this will give an easier way. If they can do race, they can just plug this in. And the key here is the 3 A's. Now think of this right here like a chain. R and A together make a claim. And that's A number 1. You're basically just restating and saying what you think. Do you think TikTok's useful or not useful? Going back to that prompt. And if you look from last week, we said, yeah, definitely TikTok is relevant. It matters during the coronavirus. And then, you know, we had the quote and all that great stuff, and then we had, in other words, and, you know, this is typically what kids do, but, you know, they may get 3 sentences, you may get 3, you may get 4, but they don't know what to do after that. So we need to expand on race. That's why I put 3 A's in race. I mean, basically what we're doing this whole time is answering, okay? And with 3 A's, we have the perfect answer. And in my class, most of my kids come in learning how to do race, but I can expand on with the 2 A's, what the 2 A's represent, and they can expand on this to make their answer better. A number 2 is what I call it. It's example or reason. This goes simply by LearnZillion, but this goes by life. If I were to say that Christmas is the best holiday and I got a quote talking about how great Christmas is, I want to know why. Give me a reason why. Give me an example why. You can give me a quote and you can say it's great, and then you can back it up. This is what all this means. But why? It's a powerful word. Great sentence starter here for A number 2. And my kids know it. We'll insert the sentence right here. I'm not telling you to put ... I'm just kind of showing you these dots represent what the sentence would be. But I put, for example, comma, and you put your example right here. Okay? But you need to go back to the quote to understand what you're going to write as your example. So let's go back to the quote. Right here. And I forgot to mention this last week. You said, but my kids know it, and you should know it. If not, get with me. But we've said it enough. You know, this would be the author's last name, and this would be the paragraph number. And if there's a book, it would be page number. And then I start off. You don't have to always do it like this. There are different ways of using your quote. But get back to it. This is the quote. How do I know? I got the little the quotation marks right there. And basically what I picked is there's a simple reason why people are flocking to TikTok. It's a superb time waster. So I have to think about this for a second, and I don't want you on here forever because I know this kind of gets boring. It's more fun in real life when you can see me, you know, jumping around and, you know, much better in real life. But anyways, going back to it. For example, TikTok allows millions of people to communicate and dance for hours during a worldwide lockdown. Okay? Now I compare that to being a time waster. It's allowing people to communicate. It's allowing people to dance, forget about things. So I allowed my example here. People are spending hours on here doing their little videos and forgetting about their problems for a little while. That's me backing up why I think it's relevant. Okay, it's helping people with their mental health. It's allowing people to communicate. It's becoming, you know, a funny joke and all these positive things that it wasn't when it was in my classroom and getting on my nerves day on end. My third A is explain more. And with explain more, you're basically backing up your example or your reason, and you're preparing for the quote. You know what the quote is. You want it to kind of all flow together. You don't want to be off. You want it to all make sense. And you're making an argument right now with the last thing that you said is that people spend hours communicating and dancing during lockdown. What more can you explain about that? Imagine someone never heard of TikTok, doesn't know what we're talking about. Just imagine, there are people out there. I didn't know what TikTok was, I don't know, until a couple months before the pandemic. So just imagine, okay? What more can we say about people spending hours in lockdown and communicating with TikTok? Well, one thing we can say, the dancing app allows people to escape reality by creating an interactive music video. So I'm expanding on why people spend hours and why they're communicating and why this would be relevant while people are locked in their homes, okay? Alrighty here. This would be the finished product, but I can make this sound better, okay? The quote right there, I want to set up that quote really good. That's why step number 3 can be basically repeated as much as possible. As many sentences as possible to make your point. If you feel like you still haven't made your point and you have not set up to where it's going to flow well with that quote, then you need a sentence that's going to flow into that quote to make it just all sound like a good argument. So I'm going to go back to my third part. That's why I have it circled, because I'm going to do it a 4th time to add to it. Now this, I feel like this sentence sets it up. Remember, our quote was like it was a big waste of time. I want to kind of set up why people might need a big waste of time right now, you know? So I'd say most TikTok users are currently spending more time making creative videos for their friends who cannot leave the house. I think I could even expand on this. What kind of friends? Why would people need time to be wasted? What word can I describe your friends that are stuck at home all the time? Blue's Clues moment here. There you go. Bored friends. You know, people are bored. They need time to be wasted. So this would set up the quote very well. And now here is the finished product. You can pause the video, read it, and see how it flows well. I'm setting up for the quote. I'm doing my argument. I'm basically, my R and my A's are basically answering the question. The C is backing it up. Like, here's my evidence. If I was a lawyer, I would do my argument and then throw evidence at them. And then, in other words, is I rest my case. Any questions? And there you go. Go to the Webster Parish Schools website for the COVID-19 portal. If you need help accessing it, you can contact me at john.slattery@websterpsb.org.